Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of Quarantine Q&A presented by Alabama One Credit Union. This is Roger Hoover with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and Alabama One Credit Union, of course, Tuscaloosa's best credit union and mortgage lender. Alabama One offers low-rate auto, mortgage, and business loans, plus protection for it all with Alabama One Insurance. You can visit any of their 9 local branches or check them out online at alabama1.org. Alabama One, a proud supporter of Crimson Tide Athletics. Over the last few weeks, we've been visiting with a lot of Alabama head coaches, and now today we welcome in the head men's basketball coach at the University of Alabama, Nate Oats. How's it going, Coach?
Good. How you doing, Roger?
Really great to see you. Obviously, this is a different time. You and I are connecting via Skype as opposed to maybe Coleman Coliseum or a different arena on the road for Alabama basketball. But just in the COVID-19 pandemic, how have things been for you kind of day to day?
Yeah, a lot different, that's for sure. I mean, thought you'd have a lot more time to do stuff around the house, and find you end up spending your whole day on the phone. But the recruiting went well. It wasn't the worst, to be honest with you. You got to recruit without traveling all over the country. You know, we signed 4 guys here in the spring, and I got to spend every night in my own bed. So that wasn't the worst thing that happened, but I'm ready for this to be over with and get back in the gym and start working with our guys a lot more now.
Yeah, typically at this time of the year, as we get into mid to late April, kind of what's the normal focus for your basketball team under normal circumstances?
We'd be doing a lot of skill work, just making each player better. We don't do a whole lot of team stuff now. It's all getting guys, breaking down each guy's individual game and making them better personally. And it's hard to do that right now. I mean, we can make suggestions for them to work on, but a lot of them can't even get in the gym. So right now, we're just encouraging them to stay in some kind of shape. So when we do it, when we are able to get them back in the gym, whenever it is, that we can kind of hit the ground running as much as possible.
Yeah, has Mike Snowden been sending out some workouts and trying to keep track of what the guys are up to?
Yeah, he sends them out, but we're not able to actually monitor them. I mean, it's all volunteer. The only thing you can require is like a virtual film study, and at this point, that's not really what. I mean, we're more about getting individual guys better, with their own skill work stuff. So we're not trying to break down an opponent or do anything like that. I mean, they're in their last week of school going into finals, so we're technically down, but we can't even do the video stuff this week and next week. So we might start doing some breakdowns, after next week when we're allowed to get back on with those guys that way.
Well, you just finished your first year as the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and as we kind of take a look back at the season, just overall, what do you feel like you learned the most in your first year here in Tuscaloosa?
I mean, we kind of had to learn the league, like what the league's like. It's still different. You can study them on film, but until you actually play them and have to beat them. So I think we get a better idea for what the league's about. I mean, shoot, it's a really athletic league. It's a deep league. There's, shoot, we were one of the ones that proved you can beat anybody, lose to anybody. I mean, shoot, Florida was favored in the league. We go to their place, we're up 21, and it's also learned it's hard to win a game. You can be up big, and somehow we didn't close a few of those games where we had double-digit leads. So, we learned that we got to close games better. Got to get more athletic. The league's really athletic. I think we got to get deeper with our athleticism. I think we did that this spring. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. I like our roster for next year, and, I think we got a better feel for how the league is.
Your players had to overcome so many injuries during the course of the year, and for the players that are returning for next season, that's got to give them some confidence knowing that they have faced basically everything they can face from that standpoint and still were able to compete, still win some really important ball games.
Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't catch a break. I mean, from Juwan and James being out for the year with their, knee injuries, and the NCAA not clearing Quinterly. So then our depth obviously wasn't what we needed it to be. And then when you aren't that deep, you can't really afford injuries with the guys you have. And then it seemed like Herb was hurt all year. I mean, hurt himself first game, finally gets recovered, and he breaks his wrist. So, and then we started playing well again late. And then Petty goes down, and I just, I don't think Reese was ever fully healthy. He's, I think they're starting to open ORs back up to where he can have that hip surgery done. Hopefully, maybe next week. I talked to Clark last night, so No, we just got to get guys healthy throughout the course of the summer and kind of get the new guys adapted to how we want to play is whenever we can get guys on campus here.
And in terms of roster management, we heard after the season was complete that Herbert Jones, John Petty, and Kyra Lewis Jr. were testing the NBA waters, having their draft status evaluated. What can you tell us about that process for those guys?
Yeah, I mean, the guess was initially based on the feedback we'd gotten that Kyra would stay in the draft, as that's come out to be the case here. So, and Herb, this was the last year he could test it really and then come back, so it made sense. But, I'm pretty sure he'll be back. That's my gut feeling on that. I just think he needs a healthy year. He just wasn't able to showcase what he's got, and there's no workouts right now, so not really able to move yourself up at all. And even if there was, he's still not fully recovered. I mean, they really rested his wrist there at the end. So our guess was Kyra would be in, which came to fruition. Herb would be back, and then the one that we really just don't know is Petty. I mean, he's really played himself into a pretty good, his stock's pretty good compared to what it was, but is it high enough to where he stays in the draft? Like, that's the question. I think if he's got guaranteed money, which is first round or maybe early second, some of those, they'll give him guaranteed contracts even though they don't have to. So if somebody tells him that he's got guaranteed money where they're going to draft him at a certain spot, then I think he probably stays in.
Coach, with the news from Kyra Lewis Jr. earlier that he has signed with an agent, when you talk to NBA teams or if you give them a scouting report and tell them about Kyra, what's your message to them about what he can bring to an organization?
I mean, he's the fastest kid from one end of the floor to the other, probably any kid that I've ever coached. So, the NBA's gone to a game of pace and getting up and down, so I think he fits the way the NBA's going. I think his numbers, I mean, we saw an article somewhere, I think it was him and Dennis Smith Jr., and I think there was only one guy that had done what he had, one other guy, so I think there was 3 guys total that had done what he had done, at the age that he had done it. So it was, and the other 2 guys were, lottery picks, picked in the top 10. So I think it was D'Angelo Russell, I believe. It was those 3. So I think I think he's in pretty good company there. I think, he doesn't really have any red flags. He's a good kid. He's no issues off the floor. So he's a kid that's going to be in the gym and wants to get better. So a lot of times NBA teams are worried about how much do they love basketball. Are they going to continue? No, he's a guy that wants to be in the gym all the time and get better. He needs to add weight, but that's typical of a 19-year-old kid. So I think he will add weight, once they get him up there and he starts maturing and stuff. He's added weight since he's been with us. So I think he's going to help a team, and I think they draft a lot on potential. The fact that he's only just turned 19 years old, I think his potential's high. I think we're hoping he gets drafted as high as possible. I'd love to see him go in the lottery if possible.
Yeah, we certainly would like to see that, and he had some really great performances for the Crimson Tide over this past year, whether it's a triple-double against Auburn or just some of the high-scoring games. A lot of times when you needed a basket or if you needed a pivotal stop on defense, he could provide it.
Yeah, his defense got a lot better throughout the course of the year. I think he had a competitive nature. I think it showed a lot offensively because I think that's the way he's been able to take a game over, throughout the course of his career. I think he added in a defensive aspect that maybe we hadn't seen as much, which, I think even further projected him up the draft board. So, I was happy with his year. I think he was happy with it, and I think a lot of NBA teams were happy with it.
Certainly wish him all the best getting ready for the upcoming NBA draft. And now Kyra leaving, but you have some talented players coming in. Last week was signing day for your basketball program. And Coach, we'll kind of go player by player. Just want to get some thoughts on some of the new guys that are coming first to Tuscaloosa. And first, let's talk about Keon Ambrose Hilton.
Yeah, I think Keon, he was the one that signed with us in the fall. We want athletic, versatile bigs, big wings. I think he's a guy that can play multiple positions in the front court. He rebounds the ball really well. He's super active. So I think he's going to add the rebounding. He can make a 3, and he plays super hard. He's really active. So he's really that kind of guy that we're looking for, and I think he's got upside. I think he's a guy that wants to be in the gym a lot and we're really looking forward to getting him down here and adding him and helping him get better, get more skilled. And he's made tremendous improvements over the last year and a half. I mean, he's a guy that we were able to see play up there in Buffalo, being close to Toronto, and just the amount of improvement he made. You don't do that if you don't love basketball and you're not in the gym, and those are the kind of guys we want to get in this program.
He's not the only Keon in the signing class for the Crimson Tide. What can you tell us about Keon Ellis?
Yeah, so Keon Ellis is a guy that junior college kid, and we've had maybe more success with junior college kids than anybody in the country over the last 5 years with what we were able to do at Buffalo with some of them. I mean, he was the leading scorer on the #1 junior college team in the country, and he shot over 40% from three. So his game's real efficient. He's not just a high-volume guy that scores a bunch because he takes a bunch of bad shots. He takes great shots. He's a good teammate. And then he plays both sides of the ball. I mean, that's why I like to watch guys play in person whenever possible, and went down and saw him in person. I mean, he can really cover ground. If he does get beat, he's athletic enough to come back, block shots. I mean, his steal rate, his block rate, defensively he's good, and offensively he's really talented.
And then Darius Miles.
Darius is a guy with huge upside. I mean, 6'7". Thing that stood out to me was how well he passed the ball. When you watch some of his outlet passes, were just unreal. Like, he can really pass the ball. So as fast as we want to play, when you're 6'7" and athletic like he is, you can rebound the ball and then he can handle it. He's 6'7" guy that can really do all aspects of the game. I mean, he can pass, dribble, and shoot. So at a pretty high level. So we're really excited about his upside. I think he's a guy that maybe if you look, like maybe rating-wise, he's like the lowest rated guy maybe out of everybody in this class, but I think he's got big upside. I think he really can pan out to be, he's got skills that, he's got a chance he could be a pro down the road if everything comes together. We got to help him get better, but I think he's going to add some weight and he's going to get better on defense, but his offensive skill level is pretty high.
Then you're able to add a player from Division I experience already, the Yale transfer Jordan Bruner.
Bruner's, we kind of targeted Bruner even before he got in the portal. We knew he was, because in the Ivy League you can't play as a grad student. So any kid in the Ivy League that basically had a redshirt year due to an injury is going to be a grad transfer. So I'd watched quite a bit of him before he even got in the portal. I mean, to me, he was the best grad transfer out there for what we were looking for. He gives us that front court player that's super skilled. He plays both sides of the ball. I mean, defensively, Herb was our best defensive leverage guy. We were 12 points better per 100 possessions when Herb was on the floor. They were 18 points better per 100 possessions when Jordan was on the floor. So he's really high IQ guy, plays defense well, can really be a playmaker. Had a triple-double for Yale, was 2 assists shy of another triple-double. There's only been 3 triple-doubles in Ivy League history. He's got the only one in Yale basketball history. So, we had Kyrie get one this year for us. Jordan's coming in, and we can really run a lot of offense through him playing the big spot. So he gives us a guy that he's not your traditional 5, but, we're going to play him at the 5 for the most part, and I think he's going to be a real mismatch problem for a lot of teams in our league.
And finally, in this signing class, Josh Primo.
Yeah, so Josh is a guy that we had targeted for a while. Then he goes to, Basketball Without Borders, the deal that the NBA kind of sponsors, and hits it out of the park. We were pretty far down the road with him by that point, but after that, NBA scouts and different people are watching, and ESPN rocketed him right up. I think they got him as a 17th pick in the 2021 draft, so basically after his freshman year. So, his talent level is really high, but he's a great kid. He's a quiet kid. He's all about the team. We got to know him and his family really well. 6'6", skilled combo guard that can really shoot it well, but he can also, pass and dribble, and his defensive instincts are there. He's got a defensive mindset. That was the one thing we wanted. All 5 guys we signed, we felt like they needed to be able to play both sides of the ball and have shown that they're willing to play both sides of the ball. And we didn't want any selfish kids. Like, we wanted them to be able to mesh well with what we had and mesh well with each other. So I think Josh, and we didn't like the fact that Cairo was really our only kind of point guard that we had on the roster last year. We had other guys that could make some plays here and there, but Josh Josh is a point guard. I mean, he's a 6'6" point guard, so you kind of call him a combo guard because he can play, with another point guard out there. So getting Quinterly eligible, adding Primo to the mix, now we've got multiple handlers we can put on the floor together, and then add in, guys like Keon and Darius Miles that can and shoot Bruner's. I mean, I don't know what call him a point center, but shoot, when you get a triple double, I mean, you can make plays. So now we've got multiple guys out there that can make plays and handle the ball.
Well, that's got to be exciting, and you got to be really proud of the work that you and your coaching staff were able to do, especially doing a lot of recruiting maybe like this or with a lot of phone calls. What has that process been like for your entire staff?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot different. Spent a lot of time on Zoom with the staff. Spent a lot of time on the phone recruiting, putting together a lot of videos, showing guys how we play, showing guys that, what the facilities are like, all that. I mean, they can't come, so everything's got to be done via computer and, phone. So gotten real creative with some of that stuff, and just keep working. Just, we have a lot of meetings, get up, have a staff meeting first thing in the morning, kind of get what, get accomplished what we want, get talked about what we want to get accomplished in the day, and then reconvene with different people on the staff as they kind of work through the day. But yeah, it's different. It'll be great when we can get back in the office and see each other face to face instead of these Zoom meetings every morning.
I know it certainly will be great when things are able to get back to normal a little bit. But until that point, kind of what are the next steps for you and your players as we get through this semester like we talked about before and then into the summer months?
Just guys need to finish up academically really strong. We got this week, and then a lot of this stuff, a lot of the teachers maybe aren't giving finals as much. It's more project-based the way that it's gone online. So a lot of the classes are done at the end of this week. So, finals is next week, so some will still have some stuff due next week, but they got to push through this week, next week. And then once the academic stuff's squared away, I think just got to make sure guys are in shape, ready to come back as much as they're able to do wherever they're at. And it's different, Quinterly being up in New Jersey, New York City, New Jersey area, that was really shut down. I mean, that was kind of on, ground zero there, if you will, for this coronavirus deal. So different guys, different places are able to get in the gym more. Shackelford's been, I think they turned his garage into kind of a workout gym, and him and his dad have been getting after it, talking about doing 3 workouts a day. And my guess is he's going to, he came in as ready to play high major Division I basketball as any freshman probably in the country. I think he's going to come back from this. And we had a Skype meeting with our team yesterday. I shouldn't say Skype, we use Zoom, but we had a teleconference call with everybody on, so we could see everybody's face, just yesterday. And we talked to them about this is a great time to pass people up. A lot of people are going to use this fact that they couldn't get in the gym as an excuse not to work. Well, I don't know if you saw it out on Twitter yesterday, but Tom Brady got asked to leave a park in Tampa Bay. So, if you're one of the richest professional athletes in the country and you're going out to work out at a park, my guess would be our guys could go find some park somewhere that they could work out at. So, let's make sure we're using our time wisely, not using this as an excuse not to work out. Let's get in shape, and let's just look forward to getting back together as soon as we can.
All right, I'll finish up with this. I know you're a basketball junkie, so have you watched the first 2 episodes of The Last Dance on ESPN, chronicling the 97-98 Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan?
Yeah, of course. I think that probably got right. I didn't see what the ratings are. You're into the whole media stuff. That ratings might be better than the Super Bowl ratings. It was
pretty high, yeah.
I mean, there's nothing on. There hasn't been any live sports on for a month. So, yeah, I'm ready to go. Give me episodes 3 and 4 tonight. I think they're doing 1 a week, man. They need to speed it up. Hopefully we've got some live sports by the time this thing's done. But that's kind of the era I grew up. So they're chronicling 97, 98. Well, that's my senior year at college. I finished playing in 97. I did my student teaching that next year. So, you go back when he was winning his first 3 championships. I was kind of in high school then. I graduated high school in 93. So that's when I grew up watching that. So it's got a lot of good memories. And I wish they would have kept it together. But I mean, he's the ultimate competitor. I think we're going to see that come out with some of this raw footage kind of behind the scenes, like you're going to see what it takes to actually win at the level that he won at for as long as he did. I'm loving it, to be honest with you.
Were the Bulls your team growing up? I mean, everyone liked Michael, but who were you kind of rooting for in those days?
No, you know what? See, I grew up in Wisconsin, like probably 2 hours from Chicago, so I respected the Bulls, but I wasn't necessarily. I liked watching good, intense basketball. I can't really say the Bucks weren't very good when I was growing up. I mean, I'm a Bucks fan now, but kind of like the Packers weren't that good when I was a kid. All of a sudden, they got Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And then, I'm a Packers fan now, but back then I didn't really. I just liked watching basketball. I used to go to a lot of Bucks games. Shoot, as soon as I got my driver's license, I was 16. They had like tickets where you could buy the way upper ones for like $5 each, and then we'd fit 5 guys in my car. We'd drive over to the game and have a contest to see who could, get down the lowest. If I sat in the third row for 3 quarters. You win that contest, but
then the usher kicks you out, and you got to go back to the top.
Just tell the people. You know what we did? We found out where the Bucks family section was. That was the best spot to go because they didn't always use their. So I remember sitting by Sherman Douglas's wife. I think her ring was. She had a big diamond, but we'd sneak down and watch games. So I got to see a lot of those pretty good teams play. Those wouldn't be the cheap nights. You'd have to pay a little bit more to get the nosebleeds, and it's a little harder to sneak down than when the better teams are coming too. But the Bulls that was a team. So I liked watching them play the Knicks. I liked watching them play. Shoot everybody, to be honest with you. I mean, that Bulls Knicks deal, the Pacers deal back in the day with Reggie Miller. There was a lot of good teams. It was a little bit different basketball too. It was a little smash mouth. Then the Pistons with the bad boys. I mean, that was, they kind of got through that finally. So that was a fun era of basketball though for me to grow up watching.
Yeah, I think the next episode of The Last Dance, they're going to talk about the bad boys versus the Bulls, and then talk a lot about Rodman and kind of his transformation over the years as well, finally ending up on that great Bulls team. So something to look forward to. And Coach, I know Crimson Tide fans are looking forward to Crimson Tide basketball once again. Just thank you for your time for this quarantine Q&A. Hope you and the family are well. And thank you for everything. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Thanks, Roger.
All right, we appreciate Coach Oats for his time. We'll have more quarantine Q&As coming up this week on the Crimson Tide Sports Network Facebook page.